would say that when you start working on a story, it starts from the minute that you pick up the phone or you write to somebody or you email them. It doesn't start the minute that you arrive into their door, into their house. So you pay attention right at the very beginning. So the process of getting in touch with somebody is sometimes as useful and interesting as when you actually get there. So the best thing is always to interview somebody in person, and preferably in their home or somewhere that they feel comfortable. One of the hardest kind of interviews is on the phone, because you can't see somebody, you can't see their expression, you can't see how they're interacting, you know, as you're asking them various questions, and you've no context for them. So it's actually really challenging and difficult interviewing somebody on the phone. And if at all possible, always try and interview somebody in person. So pay attention to everything. You know, everybody has digital recorders. Have your digital recorder, and also take notes throughout. Not just because the technology can let you down, but you can sometimes, when your interviewee is saying something that isn't maybe so interesting, you can focus on the room, or what's other things around. What are they wearing? What books are on the shelves? What is the place like? Pay attention, and always go to the bathroom. It's a great way of seeing another part of the house, having a break, taking notes, thinking about what you'd like to ask when you get back, and always accept hospitality. In Ireland, whenever I go out to interview anybody, it's always, will you have a cup of tea, or always accept the hospitality, because it's an icebreaker, and it's a way of your interviewee to offer you something, and again, you can pick up a little bit about them. Because one thing you don't have much of is time, so you have to, use the time you have. So the other thing I'd say is kind of obvious things, like ask the hard questions at the end. You don't want to alienate people. So hopefully at the end of an interview you've built up trust with them, and there are some questions you're not going to get an answer to, but they must be asked for the record. There are other times where you might get an answer. If you've built up a good relationship with somebody throughout the interview, they might answer at the end. And pay attention to silences. Like, every part of the interview is really useful. And for the first 15 minutes, people might rabbit on about their dog, or the weather, or anything, and just let people talk. It's all, you might not use any of that, but that's going to get you to somewhere else. And pay attention to silences, don't interrupt people, let them finish, and always ask at the end, is there anything else you'd like to say? Is there anything that you think is important that we haven't covered? And always give people an opportunity, if they want to email you or ring you later, if something strikes them. So, you have to go with some prepared questions. So you have to have some kind of structure, but you also have to have the flexibility to, as the interview is progressing, that you can go with something interesting. If your interviewee suddenly starts talking about something else, that you don't just only stick to your prepared questions, that you go off and then you start asking about whatever else the person is talking about. Be flexible.